Some guy who makes $1 million residuals every month is leaving WFG and everyone's like applauding him and the other people are booing him off of the stage. Hello and welcome to the You're an Asset podcast. I'm your host, Casey the Dollar. And on this podcast, we find out who is an asset in the financial industry and who is just an ass. It is. The BMIs are stupid. On today's episode, I have a very, very special guest. You've heard his name brought up on the show multiple times. He's highly respected in the industry. He's finally joining me today to see if he can prove himself as an asset. And it is none other than Mr. Matt Schloss, or Money Mythbuster. Thanks so much for joining me, Matthew. How are you doing today?
I'm excited to be here. I know you and I have kind of talked a few times about getting me on, and there's just been a lot of transitions and changes in my business and my career, so it just wasn't the right time. And then Paul, who's a really good friend of mine, he sent me his interview, and I was like, "Oh, that's so awesome!" That the things that he said, and so he's like, "You got to go on the show and talk with her." I said, "Okay, I'll do it." So I had a bunch of time open up now that we got transitioned and all that. So here we are. I'm happy to be here.
Paul is such a great guy. I was so happy to have him on the show. And, you are highly respected in the industry, Matt. Like a lot of people they bring you up, they talk about you, they think very highly of your content, of what you're doing in the industry. And, I'd love to just start off with how long have you had your license? How old you are? Where are you located? That the power's off.
Yeah. So, I've had my license technically since 2015, but I didn't really use it too much. I didn't really do too much. I really started my journey in the industry 2018. So like 2 months after my son was born is when I was like, okay, I need to do some different things. And that might come up today a little bit, but really 2018 is where I really started to utilize it. I'm in San Jose, California. Not too sure why the power went out here. It's usually pretty solid, but it is what it is.
That's awesome. San Jose, California girl too. Well, so what got you into the industry back in 2015? And I'd love to hear what happened from 2015 to 2018.
Really, my story in the industry starts in 2007. Not the right timing for me at all. I saw the opportunity. I saw how great the platform was. I saw how it could actually change my family's life and future. But at 19 years old, you're not thinking. Yeah, exactly. So I ran for like 6 months and then I quit and I started working in corporate America, which I had a really nice career in corporate America. Compared to what, but I did pretty well in corporate America. And then 2015, the opportunity popped back up again. Okay. So I got back into the industry. Then I kind of worked for about a year. Timing wasn't right again. I was still not ready. So I stopped again. And then 2018, my now mentor, he was on Instagram Live talking about like the 13 ways to stay in the office when business is good. And he had just crossed over an executive promotion. He was making nearly $800,000 a year in the industry. And we went to high school together. When I saw him talking on Instagram, I was like, this is not the same person I knew in high school. He's developed. He's completely different. His life has completely changed. And so that was also 2 months after my son was born. And I had just walked out from, which I know a lot of people will be able to relate with this. I just walked out from my second annual review at my old job with Airgas. And I had brought them 2.3 million of new gross margin in revenue. They gave me a 3% pay bump and said, have a nice day. And I'm like, man, I'm working all this time to get this stuff done. My newborn son is at home. I can't even be there. What the heck? And so I went back out to my car. I was frustrated and I hopped on Instagram and he was going live. And for me, I took that as a sign. I said, okay, I need to talk to him. So I reached back out to him and we started talking and brought me back into the industry. And he's been coaching me and mentoring me ever since. And now here we are. Amazing.
Nothing like some inspiration from someone that has changed their life to put some fire under your ass and make you want to do the same. No, World Financial Group, WFG. That's where he was working.
So 2018, that's exactly where he was. So I started in WFG in 2018. That's where I kind of developed my career. And then I just resigned from that company in January.
Just this January.
Yep.
And so it was a long run, though. It's a good 6 years of WFG. And I mean, if you've listened to the show, you know I talk a bunch of shit about WFG agents half the time. And what I get is, but not Matt. I'll just say that, right? I get this, but not Matt. Matt does the right thing. Matt's doing the right thing. That's what Pritpal said. And so tell me, why are you doing the right thing when the rest of WFG is not? You know what I mean? Because it's these 3-letter agencies that everyone's pissed off about because they do shitty training and a lot of people are getting screwed over. But you found a way to be successful in it and still do right by people, supposedly, is what I keep hearing.
100%. And you're very, very correct on that. And I want to start with just letting people know, and you too, like, I have no ill will against the company. It's a great platform at the end of the day. The platform that allowed me to develop and get coached and get mentored and learn what I've learned now. But at the end of the day, it's a platform where anybody can go into the platform and they can be and do almost whatever they want. Now, with that being said, there's been times when I've been on trainings after I kind of coined myself as a Money Mythbuster, and people would ask me to go do trainings for them. And can you teach our team how to do infinite banking? I said, I'll teach them, but I use certain companies for that, and it's not Transamerica. And they would go, well, can you teach it with Transamerica? I said, no, because you can't infinite bank with Transamerica. And they're like, well, what do you mean? So I'm like, I'm teaching this SMD, sometimes CEOs, what I'm talking about. And they go, okay, well, can you still train them on that anyways? I'm like, no, I'm not doing it. I will not train on that because it doesn't work that way. So really where that started for me was when COVID came. We were at home and I said, look, I need to do something to separate because there's something here that I'm missing. And so a good friend of mine in the business, he was going to go to a Doug Andrews online, like IUL Insider like webinar. So I said, cool, let's check it out. And we went into it knowing like they're going to sell us. Like, what is it all about? We really want to see. So we hopped on, we watched the whole thing, and we were actually kind of blown away. So we got into the beta group of the IUL Insiders. That is what really opened up my mind to how IULs are supposed to be built. And then I started messing around with illustration software. And when I started building it based on what I learned with like the minimum non-MEC and the guidelines and the 7-pays and everything else, I was like, oh my God. So if I can give my client 60, 70% access to their money year one, that's the right thing for them. Yes, it brings down the target. And that was some of the reaction that I got up front was like, don't do that. Like what you're doing to your target. I'm like, yeah, but this client is now fired up and they want to put in 30, 40 grand a year into it. And they have referrals now, which before that wasn't happening. They would go, yeah, this doesn't sound right. Doesn't sound good. No, thank you. So I just started doing it anyways, in spite of everything. So I was one of the first people, and I don't shy away from this. I was one of the first people to bring in properly structured IULs into WFG.
Okay. I mean, that's major props, right? Major. So the first couple years that you were doing business, were you doing business poorly, or were you just doing like okay business, or were you writing target premium, like how they were teaching, or what?
No, our agency, we were never taught to do full targets like that. Hands down, we were never taught that. We were more taught the old adage of like 5 to 8 times the premium is a good amount, but we still were very uneducated about why that's a good amount. Like then when 2021 came and they changed the tax code rules inside of the IUL, it got even better. And that was perfect timing too, because then we understood how to structure them the right way. It really depends on the leader you're working with inside that company. If they only will write Transamerica, you're never going to get an agent in that company that knows what they're doing. That's just the point of it, because in that company, Transamerica will pay you way more than it would with a Nationwide or even an NLG or an F&G or anything like that. With that being said, it was hard to kind of change that. But once people really started to realize inside of our group, inside of our agency, which had around 16,000 licensed agents in WFG, we really started to change that culture pretty fast.
It's awesome. I mean, and Doug Andrews gets a bad rep, but what he's done to the industry is wild, right? Because a lot of people tell me, like, it's when I went and saw Doug Andrews speak. It's when I went and saw Doug Andrews speak. And The Laser Fund was one of the first books that I read. It's interesting to me to know about these kinds of things, right? Because I got brought in with the understanding of minimum death benefit max accumulation. So I got really lucky.
Yeah.
I got really lucky, honestly. And so the whole industry was honestly fucked before this time because no one was talking about it. And so here comes Doug Andrews doing, minimum death benefit max accumulation, getting people huge cash values, and changing the way that IULs are talked about, which is, thank God. because the product's so valuable. We know this, but not when it's not done correctly. So then as far as WFG goes, when you say that Transamerica is not able to do infinite banking, what makes Transamerica uneligible for the infinite banking concept?
You can't do alternative loans, participating loans. You can do declared loans, which means, yes, you can still loan your money out. You still have that benefit of taking loans out and putting the money back. They also came out, which I think they were just trying to get a piece of the market share. They released an IUL where you can do participating loans. It has uncapped growth, but you got to wait 6 years. So it's like, yeah, I'm not touching that either. Like that doesn't make any sense because the clients I work with, they want it in 1 or 2 years, you know?
Yeah.
So it's just, that's why you can't do alternative participating loans inside of Transamerica policies.
And then Transamerica is just expensive as fuck compared to most IUL products.
Especially when you don't structure right. Now, if you're looking at a Transamerica IUL, I do have one. Yeah, I need to look at that. I have an old, I had it from when I first started in the industry, and I've just been shoveling money into it. So it's got cash value, it's got all that. I think I'm well inside the surrender by now, so I can exchange it. But when you look at the policy itself, like the best policy, in my opinion, for somebody is the one that they get approved, and it's also the one that's still around when they die.
Of course, yes.
So outside of that, if you're in a Transamerica policy, look at it, break it down, make sure it was structured right, and if not, and you're outside the 15-year surrender, which is a long time, look at upgrading it and seeing if it makes sense to do that, because there are a lot better plans out there. Yeah,
absolutely. So that's awesome. I love this journey for you, honestly. Now, as far as what you were saying about, people asking to train, because Pritpal was telling me the same thing. Like people are looking at these guys who are doing things correctly, right, and kind of like shunning them. Like, so have you gotten good feedback and bad feedback from, like, while you were at WFG? Like some people are not happy that you're trying to go against their status quo, and then other people are pumped for you. Like, what was that experience like to like kind of be trying to pave this new way?
No one ever really pushed against it. You know, it was more of like, let's check it out, because the leadership that I work with, it's a very gray leadership. It's not, most leadership in the industry is black and white. It's this or that. It's nothing else.
Yeah. Our
leadership, and this is how I am developed as a leader, is let's try it out. Let's see if it works. If it works, let's keep running it. Yeah. And that's exactly what I got from my leadership, was give it a go. If you're okay cutting your targets, let's see how it works. And it worked very well, and people started to catch on. They're like, okay, what are you doing? Yeah. So I started recommending the laser fund to everybody. When I bring new people into the industry, one of the first things I do is get them licensed and start having them read the laser fund, because I want to build and help people understand that that's the right way to do it.
Which it's funny, right? Like that they're like, well, if you're okay with having less commission, you're like, well, it's like, well, what kind of question is that? Like because you already said, like, my client is getting more money and they're pumped about it, so I should just do more business. I'm going to have happier clients. They're going to want to refer me. And I'm glad that people were not pushing back and saying like, whoa, I don't want to cut my commission. Like, you shouldn't be in the industry. So then as far as the companies that you're using, are you using Nationwide a lot?
I have quite a few Nationwide policies, and I actually really like Nationwide. And they have, when you kind of look at the company as a whole, their life insurance sector of their business is completely separate from everything else. A lot of the advertising you see is a lot of their PNC. They don't advertise their IULs. Okay. Mutual company, 100-year-old company, AAA rated. And when you break down their cost analysis report, like I've compared it against, do I dare say, it rhymes with MPI.
Please.
It demolished it. It smoked it, right? You look at Trans, it smoked it. You look at, it's very, very, very close to NLG, right? They're very close as far as cost-wise goes.
Well, and the National Life Group is kind of expensive, though, because it's a really good product with really good benefits, right? So in my opinion, it is a more expensive product, but it's not the most expensive product for the things that you're getting.
You get a good amount of benefits with Nationwide as well. You get a little more access up front. Yeah. No, I really liked writing with Nationwide. I really like the company. I have 2 of their policies. My son has 2 of their policies, and they're performing really well. I mean, we have statements where we've gotten 20%. We have clients that have gotten 30, 35% with Nationwide. So I really do like them. We're bringing them onto our platform. I still, though, like looking at NLG and how successful they've been, because with WFG, you have access to NLG, but it's an 83% compensation. So it's not a platinum provider that they show you. So I didn't even know it was on the platform until I started to leave the company.
Oh, wow. Okay. So then you're using National Life Group now with, is it GFI?
GFI, yep. Global Financial Impact. Yep.
So yeah, I mean, I guess we should back up. Tell me about what's
Cool.
going on, because I saw I'm in like a Facebook forum or something about like insurance agents, and like there's all of this. It was like the world was burning down all of a sudden. Like, I know a little bit. I know that, there's some guy that found out that you don't get to take your clients with you, and he wanted to leave. He was upset about this, and it turns out he left anyway, and a lot of people followed him, you being one of them. That's pretty much what I know. Is this Eric Olsen?
Eric Olsen. Yep, that's the man.
I'd love to know any insight you want to give, and just like why or what's going to be different about GFI compared to WFG.
I'll share what I can share, because there's still a bunch of legality going on. But Eric, who I do get directly mentored by Eric, have been for the last 2 years. He pretty much went to the company and asked them to change a few things, had to do with more things in the field, nothing to do with executive leadership, nothing to do with bonuses of the agency, none of that stuff. Mm-hmm. More commission to the field, and more about the ownership program, and actually having contractual signatures where you own your business and your code and everything. And the answer to that was no. You make 10 million a month, you make 10 million a year already, Eric, be happy.
I mean, this is a fuck ton of money. It's a fuck ton of money.
It is. But Eric is a person that cares about his people more than anything. So he goes, why are my people making 10 million and they're doing very well for themselves? And that doesn't make sense, right? So
the issue wasn't with him. The issue was with the people under him are not making like even half of what he's making, I'm sure.
He wanted more money for the field and they wouldn't do it.
Okay. Because what, in comparison, like what is someone making underneath Eric?
I mean, you got people making 9 million, 8 million. We crossed 760 last year and 400 the year before that. You got people, it ranges inside of Pinnacle. So Pinnacle is one of the most successful agencies in WFG, hands down. 16,000 all by itself, licensed agents. And we train people the right way. We do the right thing for the clients. Like that's the base of the agency. Eric and his wife, Sandra, wanted to bring more comp to the field. But when you do that, it takes from the companies that run the company. When it comes to big companies like this, you need to put them in an uncomfortable position to move. Now they're moving. Apparently. And so that's great. Again, nothing against the platform. Like it helped me get to where I am as far as being a platform. But when we started to build this one, things started to go sideways when the company found out and the lawsuit that came out and all of that, it was essentially wrongful termination. There's so much there with that. He's countersuing. This is all public, so I can speak about this stuff, but you can find it all online. He's countersuing for a few different things, including keeping some of the codes that he purchased within the company. And there's just so much. And so WFG just lost their lawsuit against him. They just got thrown out in court. And so his is still live and active and running. There's just so much. But when you really peel back the layers of it all, it really comes down to he wanted to build something that was for the agents. He's not even active in the field right now. He's the founder. He's running the back office. He's running the 40 employees that are already there and consistently like negotiating with the companies that we want to bring in. He's consistently negotiating with making sure that whatever company comes in, they pay the right way.
How does it work that the agent makes more money? Who's missing out here? Like, because you just said before with WFG, Eric Olsen's making a ton and people underneath him are not making as much. And that was the problem. So who stops making money or makes less money if everybody in the chain is making good money?
It's a great question. There's no investors. There's nobody inside the company that has a hand in the pot.
So it's about the shareholders.
The shareholders are the agents. So at an executive level, you start earning profit sharing, pre-IPO stocks, because we do plan on taking the company public. So you earn a lot of that for building your agency, building a brand, doing the right thing for clients, and building it. So there's no investors. We're backed by a few different companies, but they have no percentage of share in the company. Eric and Sandra are wealthy. They don't need the income. So they're very good off. They're very well off. They've done the right thing for the last 21 years, 22 years. So when they started to build it again, they said, let's have no investors. We'll start it with what we need to. And then as the companies start paying into the business, you don't need money now because the companies are paying for what we're doing, right? So it's genius.
How does like a new person coming on, they're going to get full commission, they're going to get full training, they're going to get all of the resources and help they need, right? Because it's always the little guy, right? The little guy who wants to, I want to get my license. I want to come over because I'm sure you have the same thing. People are always reaching out to me. Casey, should I get my license? If I get my license, can you train me? Can you help me? Can you do this? It's not easy. There's so much to learn in being an insurance agent. If you want to do a good job, if you want to do a shit job, get your license, go do anything, go sell something. If you want to do a good job to fit somebody in the right product, design it the right way, explain it to someone. So what happens to this guy with GFI?
We have systems and processes in place for new people coming in. And we took the best processes that were working and made them 10 times better. So the minute somebody new comes in, we focus on licensing first. Let's get your license passed, read this book. From there, we have a whole system that we're plugging them into with onboarding. Within that onboarding is teaching them about the industry. It's teaching them about the products and how to build them and all of that. So we don't even allow, we have something called a certified field trainer, a CFT. We don't allow people to go in the field by themselves unless we sign them off as a certified field trainer. And through that, you have to show us you can present. You're saying the right things. You can do illustrations the right way. You can submit applications the right way. And they have to do it in our presentation in front of me and any other EMDs in the company to prove that. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, if somebody does something wrong in the industry, in my business, and they mess up, that rolls up to me. I get in trouble.
Yeah.
So checks and balances, I need to make sure they're doing the right thing. So we have a whole system in place to make sure that happens.
So then, as far as like your position in GFI, are you going to have a team underneath you? Is it all the recruiting? If you recruit somebody, they can recruit somebody else, or is everybody kind of on the same playing field this time?
No. So whatever you came over as from we call it the practice company, I was an SMD there, senior marketing director. So when I came over, I'm now an executive marketing director, which is the equivalent of an SMD over there, but higher contract. So if you, whatever title you had in the practice company, we're bringing you over as that same title. And then you get right into the system, you get right into the coaching, right into the training automatically, right? We don't charge for any of that either. So no, you still have EMDs, you still have, junior brokers and levels below that. And then we have total in our company, 15 different promotion levels. But the way we run our promotions really is more about helping people get licensed, helping other people get paid and promoted. Right? We're not doing none of that. Like you have to get 20 recruits to become an EMD, like none of that crap, because you recruit somebody and then they fall off. And then you see these other companies that recruit to get their promotions and they're not doing anything in the industry, but recruiting, and it's giving everybody a bad name. So again, we X'd that out and said, if you're bringing someone in, you got to get them licensed. Like if I'm sitting with you, Casey, and you go, well, I don't know if I can get licensed. I'm not working with you. Like I'm not even bringing you into the company. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So that's what we've been running, and that's how we're running GFI as well.
Yeah. People need to be working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the point of coming in if you're just gonna, recruit people and this doesn't make sense. I'd rather bring someone in the industry, show them how their life can be changed by doing the right thing for people. And now let's go to work. Let's go do it.
Well, I hope that it's extremely successful, of course. And I hope that everyone who comes towards it is getting a great opportunity and getting the right information from the start. That's what we need in this industry, is kind of like a redo of people starting on the right foot with the right information. I don't know if you heard Ryan Rush talk about how he was trained that if someone wants to pay $400, then they get $400,000 death benefit. $200. Yeah, you heard this, right?
I watched his episode. Yeah, I actually texted him. I said, man, you got ripped apart, my friend.
Oh, fuck, man. Like, that's wild. Like, it's got to be more complicated than that. I feel like anyone would be like, seems too easy. What's happening here?
It's deep. And I love Ryan. Ryan is a good dude. I've met him many times in person. We've hung out. He's a great guy. He's a young guy, but he'll figure it out.
Yeah. And so, I have hope that he'll continue to try to do the right thing and whatnot. But just this logic of, I can't believe that there are higher ups and people, sleeping at night, just telling people to do things like this with other people's money. The majority of Americans are not in a good place financially. Right. And they're trying to do something with an insurance policy to plan for future generations of their family. So to take advantage is just so criminal to me. But anyway, I would love to talk more intricate product knowledge with you. As far as your index strategy, do you have an index strategy that you use?
With NLG, I usually go with the Credit Suisse. When I was using Nationwide, I really like the BMP. And in the years I was using it, a couple of years I was using it, we got some pretty good returns from it. Pac Life, we're using the BlackRock. We show the client the strategies, the indexes, and based on what information is there and we can look at, the client gets to choose.
So then you're using, I didn't hear you say S&P 500. So you're using mostly the proprietary indexes.
No, we'll blend it if the client wants to, right? Because I really like the client to be involved on picking the indexes. Okay. And I'll even show them S&P. But if you know, like with Nationwide, they have a freaking spread rate of 10%. So if the S&P does 9, you get 0. Just really involving them in that and breaking it down and showing them like actual BMP documents or the index documents that you can get from any of these carriers. Showing it and sharing it with the client, letting them review and read, and then letting them pick.
Would you say that most of your clients, though, are like really educated about indexes and index options and would be able to choose the indexes?
Yeah, because again, I break that down with them. It's not like I'm just sending you the PDF and go reading it out. We break it down on the appointment. If they need to do a second appointment to go for the index options, I do that too. So again, it's just really, really about educating them and incorporating them in that choice, because it's like when you get a 401k. Like no one sits with you on the indexes. They just give you a packet. They let you pick. And then you look up when you're 65 and you have 200 grand sitting there.
100%. So what is it though? Most of the time you're doing 50-50 or you're doing 100 if they say, okay, 100% in the proprietary. You're not doing anything more than that, like 3 or 4 indexes?
No, not really. We'll keep it very simple. And then as the years go on, if the client wants to diversify more, we'll diversify more.
Why not start off at more diversified?
Because I want the clients to kind of see how these indexes are going to work. Keep it simple up front, let them run one. And then as the index breaks out, then you can kind of go through and say, look, you can also diversify if you want to. We do that with a lot with fixed index annuities too. Fixed index annuities, I'll diversify more. But with IULs, it's generally just leave it at one, let it run and go from there.
Wouldn't you say that diversification, though, is the key to everything, right? You diversify your money into an IUL, the Roth IRA, brokerage accounts, in all of those instances, you're going to diversify the money, right? So if you're just choosing just BlackRock, then the S&P 500 does perform and BlackRock doesn't, then, that whole thing. I use at least 3, and it's not so much that I'm selling the index options, I'm selling the strategy of diversification, right? We want to diversify into 3 different places, and then I put money into the fixed account, right? Because there are fixed accounts in the industry right now that are earning 5.4%, which is wild, right?
More than a whole life policy in some cases.
100%. If a client's going to be difficult, like they're going to be difficult, but you're the professional. Like I look to you and I'm telling you that you're highly respected. Like I want to know that you're telling your clients, like, I know what I'm doing and I'm going to diversify your money, because some of these, like you already mentioned it, some of these indexes only have a look back period of 2 years, right? And that feels risky. I mean, I know we're using life insurance, so it's not that risky, but there's some due diligence on our part as an insurance agent to say, listen, this is a new index for the industry. Like we shouldn't just put 100% into this index. So I want to make sure you earn something.
And we've been successful with it. A lot of using a lot of the BMPs. Haven't had too many clients come back. We were using, which I'm glad I didn't use it too often. We were using the New Heights, and those, like, they just, good luck with those. Like, they just did not perform. I think I ran maybe 1 or 2 through that. I have one and it doesn't perform. So I'm going to exchange that when I can, just max funding it and using it when I need to. But no, I think you're absolutely right. And again, it depends on the client. Some of them don't want to use those things. They don't want to be capped. But there's been times where you go, look, I think this is the best for what your growth is based on everything we've talked about. And they go, no, I don't want to be in there. Then they've come back 2 years later and go, can I sit in the SP 500 now, please? Like, it's hard. And yes, we are the professionals and we do need to guide them. But you have those scenarios for sure. So.
Of course. Like, are you doing annual reviews? Is that how you're kind of keeping track with everybody and like making sure you can reallocate?
Sometimes they go, no, I'm okay. I've looked at everything. Good. But a good majority of the clients want their annual reviews. So yeah, that's how we book them out.
Amazing. Now, the National Life Group, you think is going to be your main player as you transfer over?
I can't state for sure yet, because there's still a few new options that I just started kind of getting involved with that I didn't have before, like a Corebridge and Anico. But I haven't had a chance to dive into those. I'm
curious the way that you talk about guidelines with your clients, right? Because for me, that's one of the most important things too, to talk about guidelines, indexing strategy guidelines. Like, as far as you're concerned, the 7-pay and the guideline level annual premium, what are those 2 guidelines?
Yeah. So 7-pay is pretty much the most you can put into the policy within the first, now again, it depends on the company, 4 years, 5 years. So if your 7-pay on the document says 50,000, that means in the first 4 years, you probably should get as close to or put in $50,000 a year. If your guideline level after that drops down to 30 grand, then that's what you can put in consistently every single year until you want to stop or until retirement. So the easy way in my brain that I break that down is your 7-pay is what you can max out the first 5 years, 4 years, depending on the carrier. Your guideline level is what you could consistently do from day one, year one, all the way through until you retire. And something a lot of people don't know is that your 7-pay actually resets, again, depending on the carrier, around 11 or 12 years. So you could actually put in that amount of money for a couple of years more if you wanted to. So that's kind of how I have it in my brain.
And that's for an increasing death benefit?
Yes.
Right? Because sometimes I have carriers that it actually is 7 years. And the 7-pay is 7 years. And then exactly what you said, sometimes you're like, why is it 4? Why is it 5? Some of the guidelines can be so weird. Other guidelines that are important, how do you look at the guideline single premium? And do you talk about this much with clients?
No, I stay away from the GSP. I just focus on the two main ones that I believe they just need to know about. Because look, if you're funding your 7-pay and you're consistently hitting your guideline, you're going to be good. Again, I like to kind of avoid the confusion. If they ask, we'll break it down.
So I'm asking, what's the guideline single premium?
Guideline single premium is guideline single premium from what? Because honestly, I'll tell you right now, I don't pay attention to it too much. But from what I can look at when I'm looking at the numbers, it's really just the 7-pay broken down over the amount of years.
It's pretty much. Now with because I asked you before, I said, this is with an increasing death benefit because it's different with level. If we stay on increasing, how do you explain the target premium to someone?
Yeah, I just tell them that straight up. That's the number that we use to figure out how much the company is going to pay on this.
Oh, okay. You tell people like this is how they're basing my commission?
Yeah, I don't give a shit.
Oh, okay.
But why would I care?
It's also like the goal amount that they need to contribute to keep the policy in good standing.
Well, there's a minimum, right? That's really the standing goal for no lapse guarantees to stick. But we ask the target, and I just go, that's pretty much what the company's going to use to pay, and then I figure that based on my contract with that company, what my commission will be, and they go, okay.
100%. I'm very straightforward with people as well. Like they'll always ask, I tell them we're going to look at it. It's the target premium. But because of the way that most people write they write their policies, like we know that if you put in the target, policy's in good standing. You can pay the target premium. It's all good. I usually do this kind of like, that's your flexibility. You want to see like, you get the target premium in there, we're solid, but you don't want to get the target premium only. You want to get all the way up to the 7-pay, all the way up to the guideline level. And so when those numbers are far apart, we're solid. And then, of course, you have the required minimum. Now, you would never set somebody up to just pay the required minimum.
No, that would be stupid.
100%. Now, as far as a level death benefit goes, when's the last time you used a level death benefit?
Client was 60 and he was putting in... So actually, he was only going to put in money for about 5 years. So we did a level CVAT. And I made sure, like, you're not going to put any more. Like, you're going to stop at 5. Like, the most you can go is 7, but you're going to stop at 5. And he's like, yes. So we did level CVAT for him. And it was perfect. I think that was probably 2 years ago.
Yeah, amazing. I mean, and do you even humor yourself by looking at level?
Outside of me just messing around with the software to see how it looks, I don't present that. No,
I feel like anyone who says like, oh, like I present the level versus the increase and I let them choose.
You're wanting more commission is what you're doing.
Yeah, because you don't just do that and like, you're not going to try to sway them to the level. Like, please take this one. Please look at it. Because bet your ass that they're not showing them the target premium and explaining this is how I get paid.
I would bet my next check that you're probably right on that.
Yeah. I think I've done 2 policies with level ever. And they were, like you said, huge 5-pay policies where I want the guideline level to freaking drop off after that first 5 years and be done with it. Now, are you even touching premium finance, Kaizen, any of that?
Yeah, so I personally am not in that space. I haven't come across any of my clients that wanted to go down that road and leverage a bank. They have the assets to just do it themselves.
What's your opinion of Kaizen, though? Because I get mixed reviews as far as like, it's not that old as of a strategy, right? I mean, it's bank finance, but like Kaizen itself has been around for less than 5 years.
I think if the client is willing to take the risk and pay the bank back when they're done with the bank's money, more power to them. If they have the assets to leverage it and they want to run it that way, more power to them. But as long, again, the main thing is that agent better be structuring it right. Make sure the banks know what's going on and the contracts are written out the right way, because you can screw somebody even more in a Kaizen than an improperly structured IUL.
Yes. And honestly, I run the numbers a lot because I've never done Kaizen, but I have access to it. I have full access. I can go and play with it. And running Kaizen versus just the client funding a OG IUL, the results are so much better. And you don't owe anyone back. Money's liquid from the jump.
I don't know if you've seen the video yet. I'll have to send it to you if you haven't. I broke down MPI and I reached out to this man a few times.
Curtis Ray.
And I said, all you're doing is just taking the money and putting it back into the policy. You can do that with any IUL. He's like, I'm not saying that you can't, but it's proprietary, blah, 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 blah. I said, no, dude. So I made a video literally breaking down an NPI in Nationwide. And then I did an IUL by itself without that crap. And guess what happened? The normal IUL performed better. And a buddy of mine went to, because he lives out there, and he's very, very, very smart. And he went to his office and sat down with him and stress tested it. And he walked away from that going, the guy's full of shit. Because the minute this thing goes backwards 2, 3 years, 4 years in a row, you're getting a negative 4%. Hello, wake up.
Curtis Ray, right? You can't be talking about anybody else other than Curtis Ray. He's so full of shit. I can't stand him. Do you have confirmation that he's just taking money from the premium? Because it's supposed to be a line of credit from another financial institution, which is even sketchier, I feel like, than just loaning the money back out and putting it back in.
Yeah.
Like, do you have confirmation that it's just that? Or because I thought it was another like a line of credit that you
The confirmation was him telling me, like, I'm not saying that that's not what it is. It was going around it, so to say. And even there's been times if you watch his lives where he says, he said it to me in the chat too, is the line of credit is coming from his company. It's coming from Suncor.
Oh my God.
Hello?
You're kidding me. Because he won't answer this fucking question.
Of course he won't answer it. It's the base of everything. It's coming from, he's leveraging his assets, but to loan back into these policies, and it's very dangerous.
Oh my God. So
So I'm saying, like, due diligence, you guys, like for anyone that's listening to this podcast today, your due diligence on anything in anything in the industry, it doesn't matter if it's an IUL, a term, a whole life, it doesn't matter if it's final expense. You need to do your due diligence more so than ever.
I have a question for you because I would love to have this as a clip on the podcast. As far as MPI goes, right? I was, because Curtis was going to come on the show.
Was he really?
He was, yeah. He was going to come on the show because I can't stand the guy, and he wanted to prove himself, right? So my question to you first is, when you do annual reviews, you do it with the client's statement, and every year it shows everything, policy values contributed, their earned interest, all of that. Is it a confusing statement?
Depending on the company, it can be.
Can be. Do you have clients that are upset at their statements or can't read them, or do you have to ever tell people that the statement is wrong?
No. Why would you ever do that? It doesn't make sense.
I have text messages from Curtis Ray that say that every year hundreds and hundreds of his clients are upset because they can't read their statements, and he has to let them know that every statement from every insurance carrier is wrong, and that no statement from any insurance carrier is correct. Straight up, he told me that if I've ever felt like I understood an annual statement, that I was more dumb than I look.
That's nice.
He said that no one can read an annual statement if he can't read one, and all of his clients can't, and he has to basically let them know that none of them have any meaning, which I've never experienced this.
Me either.
Actually.
How does that make me? I've 7 years, going on 7 years in the industry. I've never had an issue looking at a statement, and we're talking about big time life insurance companies. Doesn't make any sense. At the base of it all, it's a Mutual of Omaha IUL.
Yeah.
There's nothing. It's an IUL company that's also been around a long time. It's a very solid IUL company. I'm pretty sure they're not dumb about their statements. They know how to figure things out. That does not make any sense to me.
Isn't that wild?
I need to get a hold of one of these elusive MPI statements, and oh my goodness.
It's insane, the fact that it's his money from Suncor. I'm going to die. That's wild. It's wild. Okay, I'm going to throw you hopefully what's not a curveball, okay? Because I've thrown this out to other people, and I have not gotten the answers that I don't so desperately need. Can you please explain to me tax code section 72E?
No, I don't even know what that is. I'm just kidding. Jesus Christ.
Oh my. I was going to say, you just shot yourself.
The 72E is allowing the actual tax-free growth of the plan. 7702
Thank
allows
you.
you to access it tax-free, and 101A allows transfer tax-free.
Hallelujah. What's 72T?
It's when you take like an IRA or something and you liquidate it before you're 59 and a half, so you can use the money the right way in something else.
Oh, Matthew, thank you so much.
Come on.
You have no idea. I had people straight up say, Casey, if I want to know that, I just Google it. What the fuck? What?
It's in our presentation. There's a portion where it talks about like the protection of an IUL, and it's those 3 tax codes that WFG teaches it very well. Like
God. Now, I do want to talk about one more thing for sure, because it's something that other people in the industry are going to be mad at me if I don't bring it up to you.
Okay.
It's annuities. I think annuities are great. Safe money product, income producing asset. It's the bonus annuities.
Okay.
And how the bonus is kind of like the dangling a carrot in front of the client, get the bonus, blah, blah, blah. And then you're not going to earn as much down the road. Right. And you talk about bonuses all the time with annuities. So I just would love to hear, like, what do you say to people who are going to hate on giving an annuity? Because I've seen it with my own eyes. If you give someone an FIA, a fixed index annuity with a bonus, they're going to have lower caps. They're going to have lower participation rates.
Depends on the company. So do you have any experience with Athene?
Yeah.
So you're looking at their Performance Plus Elite 10.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll get, now it's not a huge bonus, 12, 16%, depending on the state that you're in. It's anywhere in that range. So, but that bonus is a cash on cash bonus. So like I had a client from the NFL, moved over an amount of money, and he received the full bonus inside the accumulated value the next day that it was funded. So the bonuses are real. With that being said, yes, the growth in some cases can be very well capped. Again, it's about being transparent. Like if you're going to get a 35% bonus, you're going to get 5%, 6%. You're not going to be getting 30s and 40s like it can do. So no, it's just about the transparency of it.
Do you usually like bring both to someone and say, this is the bonus, this is the not bonus, and here are the indexes? Because that's really all there is to talk about with an annuity.
Yes. And then the guaranteed income, I like to hit on that too, but you're sharing the differences. This is this, and letting them make an educated decision. It's, look, do you want the guarantees? Do you want the income for life? Do you want the bonus? If you don't want any of that, then stay where you're at.
Okay. I appreciate it. I mean, that's all that you can do. Right. I mean, I do the same thing. I'm not going to not show someone the bonus there, and I tell them this is the bonus. Now, these are the caps. These are the index options, and this is what it looks like without. Yeah. And what do you think?
And the other really neat thing which I like about Athene, so you can choose indexes that charge, and they'll give you an even higher participation rate than their normal participation rates. But if the index does 0 that year, then Athene will not charge you that index charge.
Okay, that's nice too. Yeah. Nice.
But if you're getting a 35% bonus, which Athene does, you're not getting the growth. So again, it's like if someone's 60 and they want to take income and they want a larger bonus, then fine. But that's going to be on your retirement bonus as well. That's another thing people don't explain, Casey, is when you're getting that 35% bonus, it's going into your benefit base. Your benefit base is where you start taking income after you can turn on income. In the 12 to 16% of the Performance Plus, that money is going directly into your accumulated value, and then it compounds with the rest of your money based on that larger growth and participation. So hopefully that helps with your viewer.
Absolutely. No, it's just it's social media, man. Anything you want to add to the show, Matt, before we wrap up here?
Keep doing what you're doing. I don't know if anyone's tilted their hat to you yet or told you props or you're making impact. I just want you to know that once people become more aware of really how IULs and annuities and all these plans can really help their families, and they can see the facts coming from things like this and people like us, I think we're really going to start to make a turn in the industry. So keep doing what you're doing. I think it's awesome. I think it's really awesome. I applaud you, and anything you ever need from me, please don't hesitate to reach out. Maybe we can do some more collabs at some point or figure something out.
I didn't expect that. I really appreciate that, Matt. I'm very pleasantly surprised. I try not to have any expectations, and you never know how someone's going to be offline. We can all have a persona, on social media. So, but drum roll, please. Money Mythbuster, you're an asset, 100%, hands down. I unless you're fooling me, you seem like you're on your stuff. You know the game. You know what you're talking about. You're doing right by people, and that's all you want to do. And I'm really happy to have had you here. I really loved our conversation, and just you keep doing what you're doing as well. And I look forward to continuing our relationship from this point on. And I'm happy to have been your first podcast. Matt, tell us, where can people find you? How should they get in touch with you?
Yeah, best way and easiest way for me is just any of my TikTok or my Instagram. Make sure you are on the TikTok that has 100,000 plus followers, the Instagram that has the check mark on it, because as I'm sure you're aware, there's tons of fake accounts. So just be careful. You can get my link there, and you can buy my book there. You can schedule appointments with me there. I have resources there. So that's really the best way for people to kind of reach out and if they want to talk and know more.
All right. Amazing. Well, you guys, Money Mythbuster was been on the show. He made it through Gold Star A+. He's an asset. For everyone listening, thank you so much for joining us. This has been the You're an Asset podcast, where I'm your host, Casey the Dollar, and we find out who is an asset in the financial industry and who is just an ass. I'll see you next week. Bye.
The You're an Asset podcast is not giving financial advice. We are not licensed financial advisors, and our licensing is strictly in insurance products. The information that we talk about is specific to the products that we work with. We cannot guarantee that other agents will have the same product features that we discuss on the show.